Morning. Coffee. Okay, studio time. Studio. Mess. Stuff. Abracadabra. First things first. Coffee. Right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the time is where you are. I am DJ Sweetleaf, and we are in the middle of a ridiculous heat wave, people. Honestly, it is just hot. Too hot to do anything. But I have been busy doing lots of stuff apart from studio madness. But I am going to get back onto that right about now. I've got lots of bits and pieces, and as you can see behind me there's just stuff all over the place, but I have things to play with. I have new toys. What new stuff do I have to play with? Well, I've got this, you know, these. Look, I've got some new pedals. This thing sounds amazing. I'll demo that at some point later. Flanger, love a flange. Hello aircon. Yes, this is aircon number 1. I've got this. The box, more stuff, and look, easy drive discs and stuff. I've got this Akai sampler with no drive, but it's to play with, and also got one of these. Yes, it's a one of those, which is great. And this absolute monstrosity SY-85 to play with. Honking great keyboard, case bigger than it needs to be. Where do I put it? I don't know. But yeah, something else to play with. Big boy toys. Stuff. Lots of things to be playing with. And also, check this out. Yes, I did manage to find a very old copy of Cubase. Cubase Score version 1. Which does still work. Which is amazing. I'm going to get that onto a Windows 98 machine. Yes, that's right, Windows 98. Proper old school. I'm going to get that sorted out and then start doing, I promise people, video after this. It will be sequencing with the S01, which is there somewhere at the bottom. But yes, so the S01, I'm going to finally get to doing some proper old school jungle style with an old school Cubase, which was what I wanted to do when I first got the S01 and all of the old samples going. Lots to be getting on with, going back to the old MIDI only days, MIDI only with a sampler, and we shall see what we can get out of it. This is just a quick recap. Sorry, it's been a while. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. I am going to start trying to sort out some more regular videos. There's loads of stuff, as you can see, in this mess that needs to be sorted out and organised. But I am going to be on it. It does help having the aircon fixed. My lord, it's been roasting this past couple of weeks. Absolutely ridiculous. For London, ridiculous, you know. It's like 28 degrees in a hallway at midnight. Since when does that ever happen in England? Very rarely. So this is just a recap. There's a couple of quick fixing videos. One is fixing the GPS antenna on my phone because that decided to go squiffy, and also I'm going to show you taking this apart and cleaning the volume knob on this lovely SH-09 because it was all kind of noisy. And I've got that working perfectly now, so you know, and it's a fairly simple job. couple of quick fixing videos for you. Quick recap over, you know, what's going to be happening hopefully in the next couple of months. Loads of bits of gear and stuff to be getting on with. So stay tuned. Subscribe. We will be getting into some old school jungle with the Acco SH-09, doing everything the old school way that it was done back in the day, MIDI only as much as possible. So yeah, thanks for subscribing, and see you again soon. Alright, so this is my Roland SH-09 from kind of late 70s, early 80s. The volume pot has become quite noisy and scratchy, and probably some of the other pots and stuff need cleaning up, but this is why I love Roland gear, and especially the old stuff. I'll just turn around here. I'm thinking, well, how can I get to that? Well, generally you have to go top down. A couple of screws there, a couple of screws there, a few on the back. But yeah, this is why I love Roland gear. Watch this. Just grab that entire front panel with all the sliders. You don't have to take any of the sliders off or anything. Literally just grab that front panel. He says not being able to grab it with one hand. Grab the front panel, there we go. And then the whole of that top just comes neatly away with some nice ribbon cables there. So it all comes away in one piece, and then I can get to the underside of there quite nicely. Most Roland keyboards you'll find, I think on the E06, it's actually got a hinge on either side, so that whole top piece just kind of comes away. Obviously the E06 is about 2.5 times the width of the 09. But yeah, everything's just nice and neat and tidy. So yeah, I'll just, there's probably, you can just about see maybe, yeah, there we go. There's a little standoff just under there, where there's a screw, looks like. In fact, there's a couple of screw holes in the top, and I can just lift out the whole bender and volume section and clean out that pot. Nice and easy. Well done, Roland. Okay, a quick update on the screws. It wasn't too bad. That one there, that one there, and then right the way down here, just under the front lip, there was a couple there, and that has now, see the holes moving around, that has completely loosened off the volume section. So now, right, so now lift off the back panel, move that to the side, and then hopefully this, yeah, entire section is free, or it would be if there wasn't cables still attached. I can just unclip that. I'll do this with two hands in a minute. I'll unclip that, check the one underneath, and then hopefully be able to get this whole thing out so I can get to the back of that volume pot. Alright, so I've got the volume and pitch bender section off. There was a few screws holding the board in, and then just kind of carefully prized it away. The bender itself, the cables are actually soldered in, so I just need to make sure that you don't move those around too much. If any of them break off, I'll just have to resolder them back on. In later models, they actually put it on a nice little ribbon cable, so you can plug it in and out. Makes things a touch easier. As you can see, that's the portamento, the VCO and the VCF controls, and those sliders are just dirty, filthy. And this here, there used to be some kind of foam, as tends to happen with a lot of old synths of this kind of era, late 70s, early 80s. The foam on top, which was meant to keep the dust out of the sliders, unfortunately after a while dries up and turns into this kind of nasty brittle stuff. Some of it even turns into goo, and it's a pain to clean off, so I'm just going to try and clean that up as much as possible. Sliders aren't moving too well, so hopefully a bit of the classic deoxit, deoxidizer, clean up the carbon track faders, and obviously a little bit behind the volume knob, and that should get rid of the crackle and hopefully sort things out a bit. Some much needed TLC. Okay, talk about a long day. Right, so I've had a lot going on today. Just got around to finishing this. So all of that is now back in place. Power switch back where it needs to be. Turn that back around, and there's just that one. Where's it gone? Here we go. This little 3-pin back into there. I'm trying to do this looking through the camera, not actually looking at it physically. There we go. Okay, so that's that. Get that kind of back into place. Turn the whole thing upside down, put all the screws back in, and test it. It is safe to say that it is hot here in England. It's gone 9 PM, it's about 9:30 in the evening. Windows are open, it is still pretty warm. Unfortunately, this thing, which should be an aircon, can only really work on fan, because the extractor fan, which kicks out the hot air, no longer spins. So the compressor to keep it cool doesn't quite work. And then what do we need? More power. So yeah, when it gets this ridiculous, this is what happens. 20-inch fan, people. So if at first you don't succeed, take it apart again. I've got the aircon unit being completely stripped down. Strip out that motor and see what the problem is, because for some reason it's that doesn't seem to want to play ball. Right, so this is take 4 now of trying to fix this blasted thing, and as always, it's the simplest of explanations is the key. I've had to strip the motor right the way down out of its housing, remove the positive cable away slightly to reveal, dun dun dun, the thermal fuse, and that is clearly what has got overheated, gone open circuit, and is just meaning that it doesn't turn or do anything. So I'm going to temporarily remove that fuse, so we'll just run it sort of not for too long at a time without the fuse, and I've got some spare thermal fuses coming. That will have saved me about 50-60 quid call out for an aircon repair guy to come out and tell me that's what it is, and also probably about 100 to 150 quid for a spare motor, which is roughly what they cost if you can find them, because they're extremely rare. Thank you, Homebase. It's an old Chinese make. Anyway, let's get on it and hope that that fixes the deal, because it is roasting in here. Right, so I've removed the fuse, and we now have continuity across the motor, so that's going to do the job. It may not look pretty, but it works. It works, and this was the culprit. It's 134 degrees, 2 amp thermal fuse. 134 degree, 2 amp thermal fuse. Because clearly this motor got a bit too hot, so I'm just going to make sure that we don't run it for too long each time, and we should be fine. And as if by magic, almost good as new. A couple of little cable ties in there just to hold the small wires in place. Secure it back together. So this is the fan back in its housing. All back together. I just wanted a quick recap on, if you're looking at a blower fan, extractor motor, or any kind of, this is a 4-pole motor. The symptom that I was having with a multimeter is that the 2 blues, because they come from pretty much the same place, were showing as continuous, so they were beeping. Between the blues and the white, I would have a bit of resistance. There's some resistance there, but the red one, there was just nothing. It was as if it was completely open, so there was no connection at all. So if you beep testing and you find that the red is no connection, totally open, that is probably what it is. It's the thermal fuse inside the motor. Not necessarily easy to get to, a little bit fiddly, and you have to make sure that you don't, nick, bend or break any of the windings in the motor when you do it, but hard to see, but there we go, spinning freely and back together. So I've just got to plug it up, get some voltage in it, and hope that it works. Note to self, before you put the motor back in place, don't forget the mouse wheel. Yeah. Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's pretty much as back together as I'm going to get it for testing purposes. That fan is what we would like to see spinning once it's on cool and the old compressor is kicked in. I have got it rigged through the special breaker plug, just in case it decides to, you know, go up in a puff of smoke. But let's hope it doesn't. That's a quick power system test. After 4 weeks of having absolutely no cold air, it works. It bloomin' flippin' blasted well works. I'm so happy, you have no idea. Hot air coming out the back as it should do, cold air out the top. The condenser coils at the top are starting to get cool. The fan is running nicely, doesn't feel like it's warming up at all, so that's great. You have no idea what relief this is. That's going to be some beautifully cold air coming out of the top now. Oh, you have no idea. Right, I'm just going to turn that off, let it cool down a bit, put the case back on, and, well, there you go. I remember a quote from one of the engineers back in college who always used to say, persistence is the key. And in this case he was right. And it's also the law of SOD, where the simplest thing is what the issue is. And that's exactly what it was. Tiny little thermal fuse in that fan. But there you go. And that fix has cost me nothing so far, apart from lots and lots of time. But if anything like that ever happens again, I now know what to look for. So yeah, job done. Alright, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the time is where you are. I am Chris Sweetleaf, and this is the battery to my mobile phone, my LG G5. And I'm having to take the thing apart because the GPS has decided to stop working, and it turns out through looking online that it's actually a mechanical issue rather than software or anything. Basically, the bottom of the board, I think the top where the back of the case is where the GPS sensor is, and then the PCB, the electronics board, is actually on the back side of the screen, and the two are not connected by anything more than just a couple of contacts onto pads that physically push against the pads. So it's not plugged in, it's not soldered in, it's literally just those contacts. And apparently the contacts just kind of wear out over time. So people have there's a couple of fixes. One of them is just to bend the pins up slightly so that they contact the board better, and other people have just put like a tiny bit of paper or very thin card actually under the electronics board just to raise it up slightly so that it makes better contact. So hopefully it's going to be a quick fix. A couple of screws in the bottom, one on each corner. I've now got to take the cards out, so take out the SD card and the SIM card, which is on the tiny little slot on the side there. Literally just the little pokey thing that you just poke in to the hole, and then that pops them out. Get that out, and then guitar picks just to run down the side to kind of gently unclip the clips, and then hopefully the whole front should come out and I can get onto it. Okay, so here it is. Just screws out the bottom, and then just kind of gently prise the bottom up slightly. Got a guitar pick down the side. It just kind of unclipped one side, and the other side unclipped quite nicely as well. And voila, you now have your phone in two halves. Okay, well, thank you, Internet. Worth doing research. As I suspected, there are many posts and even people who put up videos online showing you saying, oh, it's these 3 pins here under the screw, and you just lift it up with a bit of paper and then it works. And it's, well, what's interesting about that is that if you actually look on the case itself, those 3 where they connect, which is there, what they actually connect to is the volume buttons up and down. It's actually got absolutely nothing to do with the GPS at all. I'll post up the link in this video to this, which is I can't actually see the guy. Shlomes, that guy, Shlomes. But he's done a whole page of what's wrong with it and where the GPS antenna actually is. It's actually in the top left corner and not the top right, so it's actually the GPS antenna is not over here, it's actually over here, and it's in 2 parts. You've got this little contact which is just a grounding contact, which grounds to the back of the case with a little bit of mesh, and then just under that is another contact for the GPS antenna, which is just under this piece of PCB. So the issue, it's going to be very hard to see here. Prop this up, I've got enough light. So we've got the audio jack, which is there, just next to it there, and you can see there's a little dip in it, just under where the screwdriver is. That is a little bit of wire mesh, and that wire mesh is supposed to ground the antenna, and as you can see it's looking a bit worn on this side, and some people, what they say is put a little bit of foil, they say copper foil. I may only have standard kitchen tin foil, but I'll give that a go, just to kind of raise that contact up slightly and hopefully give a better contact. I'll also take a closer look. Well, it's easy to see with the naked eye, but I'll take a closer look and see if I can get that looking a touch nicer. I think that just may be a slight tear in the mesh, but we'll see. Give this a go, see what happens. But yeah, so don't believe the hype and don't believe fixing videos on YouTube. Okay, so with a little bit of standard kitchen foil, I've left the I think I've left the shiny side or the dull side. I can't remember which side. I think I may have used the dull side on the inside, but still. And just using a tiny bit of Leatherman scissors and little needle nose pliers, and see, just about managed to kind of get a piece cut. I sort of cut a thin strip and then folded it over, and then just trimmed it to size, so hopefully that's going to do the trick. That's about the right size. I don't think it's overhanging too much on the underside as to where it is, and then also if you look at the PCB here, so yeah, so there's the contact for the GPS. There's a couple of little tiny little components just here, which I don't think it's going to overhang onto, and that bit there is just that's not actually a copper contact. Yeah, you can tell because the copper contacts down here are nice and shiny. See the way they shine, whereas that there I think is just a little orange corner of a PCB. There's no actual contact there, so we'll try this out. I'll just double check that it's not going to short anything else, and see if it works, which would be nice if it does. Okay, so I've got it back together, just kind of left the back where it was, carefully clipped the whole thing back into place, starting with the top, so kind of top down first, and then just slowly pressing it down towards the bottom, making sure that all of the sides are nicely lined up, no gappage occurring. I've put the 2 screws back in on the bottom, and I'm just going to put the SIM card tray back in, put the battery back in, turn it on and check it out. I can confirm the GPS is working. So there you go. LG G5. This is the 805 model. Is it the 8? Sorry, it's the 850. It's the 850, not the 860. But yeah, that's all the information of where it is. It's picking up rotation, which is more the tip sensors than anything else. But yeah, the actual GPS location is all there. He says until he puts his finger in the way and it says looking at GPS. But yes, it's as you can see, it's still slightly intermittent, so I might need a little bit more tin foil. But yeah, wouldn't you know, tin foil of all things.